Hello everyone, and welcome to FiST Chat, the vodcast that features discussions on the topics of film, science and technology. My name is Ben Warner, and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague, Steve Kern. How are we today, Steve?
I'm good, thanks, Ben. Hello, FiST Chat fans. It's lovely to be back here once again.
Absolutely, and we're sort of caught that bug of recording a couple of episodes at once, so we're doing that again today, which we'll release over the next week and a bit. Got a lot to talk about, and it should all be fascinating. Now, before we get into it, don't forget our website, www.fistchat.com. You can get all our links there. You can subscribe to our audio via iTunes, RSS, and FeedBurner, and also our video episodes on YouTube, Vimeo, and Digicosm TV. Interact with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Love to hear from you. We've got our ebook, The FiST Report, at fistreport.com, hosted on Amazon, 99 cents. Very good read as far as we're concerned.
Ben. Good read.
And it also helps to support us too and continue to do this show. And also don't forget our supplementary content, the weekly blogs, photography on Instagram and Flickr. And if you'd be so kind, please recommend us to anyone who may be interested in our weekly discussions. Now, just wanted to start off, I just wanted to apologize for the last episode where we had some technical issues. Seems like we overdid it a little bit, or at least the Mac didn't handle it as well as what I thought it should last time, but we shouldn't have any problems this time because we've ironed out what may have caused the problem. But at least we were able to listen to it fairly well, if not watch it fairly well. And Steve, I can guarantee this time you'll be coming through it at a full frame rate compared to last time.
Oh, no, I don't mind a couple of frames a second. Looks more immediate.
Exactly. All right. Well, we've got a couple of things to get through. I might hold off the poll results till we talk about our Windows app, because the poll this week was about Windows 8. We'll launch straight into our main topic, and it's a film one this time, and it's mainly about Hollywood's focus in China. And I think we touched upon this in a few episodes ago, but I think it's really come to the fore now with the release of Iron Man 3, and there was this interesting article in The Age, an opinion piece, where basically they were saying that Hollywood's getting pretty zealous about going after Chinese dollars, almost to the point now where Iron Man 3 itself had a specific version made for it, where maybe Steve, a bit later on, if you can maybe go through some of the detail on that, as you were mentioning to me before we got on. There's some extra scenes with some Chinese film stars. There was product placement, and maybe not surprising because there was a Chinese film production company involved in the financing of the film, and this particular piece here from The Age were basically saying that we can expect this sort of thing to continue, because as it is, previous Hollywood films in the last year or so have been changed in some way for the Chinese audience. Mainly it's been anything that was sensitive to the government or culturally, whether the censors weren't happy with it, that was either excised or modified in some way. But this one is unique in that this is really one of the first times where they're actually actively putting scenes in just for the Chinese audience. So maybe if you can take us through what was in Iron Man 3 and maybe just let us know what you think, Steve.
Yeah, well, I'm just speaking about probably the latest reports that have only come through in the latest 24 hours. And apparently the Chinese public have taken to Weibo and aren't particularly happy with what Hollywood has done. And it's interesting. The film apparently starts off fading up from black to show the title of a very popular Chinese soft drink. So that's the opening credit for the film. And then apparently there are a few scenes changed within the film to show Chinese landmarks. And then at the end there's an extra 3 or 4 minutes which has Iron Man being saved by a Chinese hero and more product placement as well. And what's interesting is it seems to be the outcry of the Chinese cinema-going public is they have seen Hollywood as a premium and a highly artistic and highly technical level of quality in their films, and they feel that product placement has been foisted upon them just because of Hollywood going after the dollar, or yuan in this case. But I think it's kind of ironic, isn't it, Ben? Because Hollywood has been just doing that to us for years. But it is interesting. Look, personally, I don't see what the problem is. You know, Hollywood for years has released, you know, director's cuts, studio cuts, you know, guest spot cuts or whatever. You would make a film. Hollywood has always made films for different markets. I mean, Blade Runner had a European version and an American version. You know, we've seen all sorts of different strategies through Hollywood, and they're learning their way here. They probably just want to make a film as appealing to China as possible, because if they could get, you know, a couple of extra bucks from every Chinese person that saw the film, that's going to pay for the film itself. Or, you know, the rest of the world is going to pay for the film and Chinese will be pure profit for the studio. It's a new model. Hollywood needs a new model because films are expensive.
Absolutely. I mean, just looking at a couple of the examples that are coming up, Brad Pitt's World War Z that I think you mentioned, that's apparently the result of a Chinese SARS-like virus. Yeah. And then Paramount thought the better of it and made the source a Moscow flu.
That's right. That'll be very good. And, of course, I'm sure in that one China will save the world. They shouldn't feel too bad about that because the Americans through Hollywood have been saving the world for over 100 years.
With that flag waving in the background. Other examples, the 2012 remake of Red Dawn altered the plot where the US was not invaded by China but by North Korea. And then
that's terrible.
And then there's Looper, the sci-fi film from last year, which depicts a future in which the capital of the world is Beijing rather than Paris, which was which was the original plan. Well, you know, geopolitically, that probably is what's gonna happen. It's fascinating. You know, there's always been this talk of you know, Hollywood's diminishing audiences, and you know they're having to spend more, basically, and they're getting less money per dollar that they used to spend, and it's, I don't know, it's almost like they're clutching at straws. They don't ever seem to want to step in and maybe take that risk that they used to, where they you know, promoted the talent. You know, where they bet on the horse rather than the race kind of thing, and now instead of like trying to think that maybe they could do that again, all they're doing is trying to supplant a business model with another business model to see if that will continue to make money. And no doubt, if Hollywood starts doing co-productions with China, that could last for quite a while, because both sides are offsetting their risk in the production. But if they're going to still be making the same kind of product, and that's what it is, it's product now. It's not you know, it's not movies or film as we knew it. You know, that will run out of steam as well. My thought over this actually was that you might get this crossover period where Hollywood and China are working together, and then afterwards China just becomes the new Hollywood.
Well, that'll be interesting. I mean, that'll depend on whether or not, you know, China removes its isolationist policy, I guess. I mean, Hollywood's got nowhere else to go. The sums involved in making a Hollywood film now are so huge. Yeah. They have to look to deals like this to make films. Yeah. You know, either that or they would have to restructure the model in the way that no one would want, you know. And you've got to remember that maybe Hollywood haven't really, or maybe Hollywood have lost the plot when it comes to what filmmaking is all about, but they're certainly all over it when it comes to what big business is all about, and that's what they're exploiting. I think, though, that the big game changer will come somewhere just out there on the horizon. It won't be that Hollywood's not involved, but I think that we'll be moving to interactive movies, interactive game-style movies somewhere in the future, and Hollywood and China will be at the forefront of that, I'm sure. But it's very interesting. That will finally change the model of movies.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is that we're living in I think it's already begun, where we've come to expect everything to be on demand, and the cinematic model just doesn't fit that very well.
It doesn't fit it for a whole range of reasons, and I actually see one day, very sadly, movies as you and I know them and everyone watching here has grown up with, will actually go the same way as newspapers.
Yeah, well, when they eventually get to the stage where you'll have a 100-inch or 200-inch TV in your living room, why are you going to, step out and go to the cinema? I mean, I know that you're getting a unique experience in terms of stepping in when you've got a whole audience with you watching it, and you get that sort of group experience watching the thing. But that only really works if there's some soul to the movies being presented, and at the moment there just doesn't seem to be any indication that that's going to improve anytime soon.
I agree with you on that one.
Alrighty. Just one last thing. I stumbled across a quick article. Apparently, Steven Soderbergh went on a rant. Well, it's been called a rant. It's his. He gave a speech where he was talking about the state of Hollywood at the moment, and he didn't outright state it, but you kind of get the impression that this is why he was retiring. Because
he can afford to.
Yeah, that he was essentially saying that you've got people that who are running these studios that don't actually go to see movies in their off time, so they're not even really interested in it, and they're only looking at the bottom line and finding out where they can get the dollars from. And they're saying that you've got this position now where they've got it worked out that it will cost $30 million to market any film in the domestically, $30 million overseas, which means if you've got a $10 million film, you're already $70 million in the hole, and in order to make any money back, that film would have to make $140 million. And he said, well, how many $10 million films make $140 million? And it's hardly any, and that's why they go the blockbuster route, because even though they spend more money, they might spend maybe $320, $400 million at the lowest end. They're going to get their $1 billion back through all of that. And he did make a good point with that, I think.
Well, yeah, I think he has, and I think that's just the way Hollywood's gone. We expect more and more, we expect bigger and better, and that's just the way the model goes. I mean, interestingly, in Australia this week, I think the deal was finally sealed, and the studios are sending digital projectors into most exhibition centres. So film celluloid's pretty much done in Australia now. I think it's only another 6 months and it'll all be gone.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll move now on to our news bites, and we'll talk about, maybe possibly the last bastion of filmmaking in the world, the Cannes Film Festival, which is on again. We've been a few times ourselves, and it's always a good thing. We're up to the 66th festival now, and the only thing that caught my eye this time was apparently Steven Spielberg's being the jury president this time, which is a bit different. I don't think he's ever been asked to do that before, and an interesting choice given his commercial kind of background. Maybe because he's sort of branched out into different areas in this part of his career. Maybe that was part of the deal. Yeah, it's good. It's good recognition. I think it's good for Cannes to have someone like him there as well. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll move on to our science news bite, and this one was quite interesting. This from the ABC. Scientists have manufactured a lightweight and reusable material that can absorb up to 33 times its weight in certain chemicals, a possible new tool against water pollution. They've developed nanosheets of boron nitride, also called white graphene, which can soak up a wide range of spilt oils, chemical solvents, and dyes such as those discharged by textile, paper, and tannery industries. Highly porous, the sheets have a high surface area, can float on water, and are water repellent. And one thing they mentioned in that article was that this would be very useful in the case of, say, an oil spill. Yeah. Fascinating stuff.
Oh, look, nanomaterials are actually the future of probably the materials and compounds that we use to build everything. Everything from houses, buildings, bridges, cars. We've spoken about them before, but, they're such lightweight, such strong structures, and we're learning more and more about them all the time. And they can be used in everything from solar cells, transistors, right through to filters. You find nanomaterials in fridges, antibacterial. You see them sometimes on some Band-Aids come with nanomaterials. Some bike frames and some tennis rackets. I could go on and on and on. This is just another example of a great application that potentially can filter water, and, as you say, clean up spills and remove toxins from the environment. So it's a good story. It's great to see that sort of work's going on here in Australia.
Absolutely. And just finally, our tech news bite, also from the ABC. This was kind of fun, this one. Bug-eyed about new camera technology. Taking their cue from nature, engineers have built a camera using stretchable electronics that scan the world like a fly's compound eye with a wide field of view and no distortion. The digital device, which has a multitude of tiny pliable lenses like those found in ant, beetle and lobster eyes, also allows for a near infinite depth of field and high motion sensitivity. And from what I understand, the breakthrough isn't it the sensor that's become flexible? Yeah. And this is actually a different way of looking at flexible technology. I mean, we've been talking about flexible phones and whatever, but this is an excellent way to use the technology, and one that may be not apparently obvious from the outset.
And I think that these are the sorts of developments that will have big impacts in other ways. So exactly as you say, it works both ways. We talk about the flexible phone. Here's, the flexibility of material. Once again, we are talking nanomaterials to build these flexible substances. And you can see now that there's a whole range of applications. Yeah. So anything that's stiff could now technically bend, and it could have an electronic function, or it could be able to receive or actually perform a task. I mean, that's quite remarkable to think that we no longer, depend on rigid, solid things to create, certain outcomes.
Absolutely. All right, Steve, we might wrap it up there. So thanks again for the chat.
Anytime, tweet us, FiST Chat fans, if you've got any remarkable ideas on what you might do with a nano invention.
Absolutely. All right, so that's it for this episode, so we'll catch you next time.